Love you, Tom.
I know you do. Why you're here, even though you're in a pissy mood.
'Tis the season.
I don't want to know about your imperfections, dude. Prefer to leave you on a pedestal so I'll improve. Because if I'm finding out you know more, then I'm just like you. That gon' smash my whole...
Putting the B into influenza types. This is Basic AF, a mostly tech podcast. Two cranky old dudes.
Dude,
Happy
it's been a morning already.
Jeff.
Angry old men.
Yeah. Wow. Man, we started off, both of us griping about different things. And then
we're a half an hour into checking in. We haven't done anything yet.
we haven't done jack. We had a recording fail. We had lagging video, me being slow, and Jeff saying, if you would speak complete sentences, I would know if it was working or not.
Yeah, it's not hard to check whether or not your audio is working. You go, yep. Hey.
Are you there?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And then, head nods don't work at all. Nod your head. Nod
your head, people. So happy holidays, everyone. As we record this, it is Saturday, December 21st. So we're just a few days away from Christmas and then rolling into hopefully some downtime for you and some relaxing time in there as well. So Jeff, how have you been, sir?
Oh, it's been an interesting week, to say the very
Understood.
least. We don't need to go into the details, but as I shared with you on the side, I had an interesting night at work last night.
Yes, you did. You sure did.
Yeah. I won't say anymore. Speaking too much. I don't need. I've told you the truth, and now my cranky butt is ready to record a podcast with you.
I'm glad we had those issues. We both seem to have moved into better moods at this point. Just laughing at the absurdity of all of it.
Right. At the idiocy of ourselves. So
this is episode 51. Show notes can be found at basicafshow.com/51. And for this episode, we did this last year. It's kind of a little holiday show. So we're doing a 2024 edition of it. A few of our favorite things. So some things that we like. Some will be tech, some won't. But should be fun to kind of go through the list.
Yeah, I'm excited. Not very much tech on mine, but I bolstered it near the end. but it's a lot of non-tech sitting in my list, but that's okay.
That's how we make use of that mostly that we've got in.
Mostly, right. Mostly tech podcast. That's exactly right. Is there anything newsworthy this week?
Newsworthy this week? No.
Okay. I will say our friend who's going to be making an appearance in January too, Benjamin Young Savage, whose name looks like it's spelled Jankowitz, but it's Young Savage as it's properly pronounced. He visits me on the regular. He travels between Baltimore and Canada. His significant other is in Canada. And so we were having a visit on his way up there. And he was talking about possibly doing a Vision Pro and maybe a Mac Mini as a work, travel work tool.
I remember that.
Yeah. So he actually sent us an email about that as well. And he texted me shortly after he arrived across the border and said that his pretty ancient, like 10-year-old, maybe a little older than that, MacBook Pro was about to do him dirty. And so he was going to go to the Apple Store and kind of check those things out. And so he did a Vision Pro demo and loved it, but said the thing was too heavy to work all day, plus 2 hours. So I think he has ditched the idea, at least for now, of Vision Pro and Mac Mini. But he was bowled over. He was bowled over by the Vision Pro. Like really, really impressed with the quality. I know you have hopped on recently. You were using it, I think, because you were hacking up a lung or having one of several other diseases and having to work from home.
I've been wrecked out. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man.
You downloaded, was it the beta or the latest version of Vision OS that you downloaded? And you started using the full screen display, right?
Yeah, so it was 2.2, so the official release.
Okay.
I also picked up that Belkin head strap that looks very, very similar to the one that Apple showed. Like, if you recall, when they did the announcement and introduced Vision Pro, and they had the guy that was doing the creepy spatial video of his daughter's birthday party or whatever, and they kind of,
yes,
everybody was like, yeah, that missed the mark. But anyway, in that section of the video, they showed a head strap with the Solo knit. But when they shipped it, they didn't ship that. They just shipped the Solo knit and then the dual band. And so the Belkin one looks very similar to it. So I picked that up. And so I have been playing with it a little bit since the update. The biggest thing with the update that I wanted to try was the new Mac Virtual Display features, which you get the wide and the ultra wide displays. And that's pretty nice. Like, it really opens up the canvas for the Mac, which was kind of nice, but I still run into the same issues, even with the Belkin strap. That is, like you just mentioned there for Ben, it's just heavy. And the whole thing is just messy. Like, I hate dragging that battery pack around, and even when it just sits on the desk, it annoys me because it's messy. You've got that long cord attached to that battery pack. You get an hour and a half, 2 hours, but to be honest, that's longer than I can wear the thing for, so the battery life hasn't been an issue for me. But anyhow,
he said he did
the other night. Made it through the first quarter.
How was that? Okay.
And then I had to take it off because it was getting too heavy.
And what app were you watching football in?
The Prime app.
And that's, so you're watching the Thursday night game. And that was, we can talk about that too. Get our good friend Chris Freitag in here for a minute about how Denver blew that one up.
They did. And I told you, how much did I call that?
Yeah, you called it.
That junk there at the end of the second quarter it didn't burn the clock, and then the free kick after the penalty, and it changed the whole game. I was like, oh, there you go.
Totally. Anyway, we don't need to talk football, but does the Prime app support, like, is it legit? Or is it just big TV screen?
Yeah, it's kind of big. It's the iPad app, basically.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, it was good enough. Like, I had it, up, I'll say up on the wall and part of the ceiling because it was big. But I could do other things while I was watching the game, which was nice. And I did a little bit of that. But like I said, it just gets heavy. And I think, especially if you don't wear it frequently, because when I first got it and I was using it more, it didn't bother me. It seemed to bother me less because I think you adapt to it and you get kind of used to it. And if you take a break or something like that, but again, it's what it is.
Yeah, and that's what Benjamin said. He said it would be hard for him to wear the thing for the whole day if you could get past 2 hours of work. He said that's the other killer, is 2 hours is just not enough for him to get any actual real work done with what he's doing. So he did not tell me what it is that he is planning on doing, whether or not he picked up a new MacBook Pro or something like that. But the idea, at least presently, of a Mac Mini and the Big Vision Pro, not a way he's going to play. So it will be interesting to talk with him when we get him on. We're going to have he and Joe Moyer on after the first of the year to talk about really Apple TV's show offerings, which are flipping brilliant. So anyway, it'll be interesting.
I'll be behind the
him.
Scenes producing that episode.
Yeah, that's it. This show produced by Tom Anderson.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to talk with him, and get a little insight about what his thoughts are now that he's had the opportunity to play with it and see where he actually went. And he's a graphics guy, really amazing graphics guy.
Right.
Does some good artwork. We initially wanted him to do our show artwork, but he was too busy for us, and so we
got real work to do.
Yeah, right. A couple of schmucks that want to.
Not that Randall doesn't, but Randall was nice and squeezed us in.
Yeah. Randall's busy too, but
they both are. They're both really good.
They are absolutely
really
great. So anyway, interesting. I just wanted to get your feedback brief, and then we can go into our favorite things. As we
Vision Pro didn't make the list. What did make the list, Jeff?
So as I said, mine's not very tech heavy. But we'll start with, and we can, I guess, bounce between the two of us. one of the tech pieces that I did get this year is a Beetle X31 SSD. It's a little one. The one that I got is a 1 terabyte golden. It looks golden, like a golden scarab, if you remember what those were from old Egyptians. It's a cool little SSD. Fits into a little pocket that I have on my backpack because my other SSD walked with my other stuff a while ago, and I hadn't really got one. But I like having an SSD with me in case I have a client that needs, big files copied off and, move from one place to another. I like to have more than just a thumb drive. So I picked that up. Really tight, cute looking thing, not too expensive. I think it was in the 60s. I'd have to double check and see what it is that I paid for it because I got it at a discount. It was on sale, I think, on Amazon, who's currently on strike. I'm looking up to see what the price is, but it's a cute little device. I really like it. Fits easily in the palm of your hand. Pretty gold color. Comes with a plastic safety thing that you snap around it, so it looks like kind of like a mouse. It really is. It's a cool little thing. So I can highly recommend that as one of my tech choices for this year. I don't really have a lot, like I said, but it's a 3-year warranty. Comes in a 1 terabyte and 512 gigabyte models, and I got it for way less than this. The 1 terabyte is listed as $135, and I got it for well less than $135. I got it for about half of that, which is kind of crazy.
Nice. That's a good deal.
Yeah, I would say. Champagne gold, they call it.
Yeah, I looked at that. That's pretty interesting looking. It doesn't look like you'd expect like an external hard drive to look.
No, it's really
looks almost like
slick.
a candy tin of sorts.
Yeah, exactly. your Altoids box. So yeah, I got that. It does come, by the way, with a couple different cables too, so it is suitable for whatever device you currently have. So
sweet.
That's my first choice.
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
I like it. Looks good.
Good.
So for me, first choice, I'm going to go with a software title. So if you recall last year, I had the Bare Notes app.
Yes.
Right. And spoke highly of it. Still think highly of it. It is still a very, very great app if you need a note-taking app. This year, though, I moved back, much to Jeff's chagrin at times, to Craft.
Right this minute when I'm trying to put a stupid link in for something. Go ahead.
But I went back to Craft.
Love you, Tom.
I know you do. Why you're here, even though you're in a pissy mood. And part of the reason being the Craft goes a little deeper with what you can do with the notes.
Yeah.
Craft is kind of like a document writing app, but it's got a ton of stuff built into it. And I found something that I really missed was the / commands. I just feel like I can go much quicker with formatting and adding elements to the page and things like that. But they had a big release just this fall. Craft version 3, I think it was right around just before Thanksgiving here in the US that it came out. Had been on the beta of it, and so they have kind of taken it to the next level, almost like a Notion type competitor.
Okay.
If you've ever used Notion with
I haven't, but
for documents and databases and things like that. So they kind of had a to-do system into it previously. They were just checkboxes, but they've built in the beginnings of a proper task manager with scheduling and reminders and things like that. They've added some style stuff, which makes it a little easier to make the pages look nice. I don't tend to do too much of that. I just put text on the page. But the thing that they added that I was waiting for and really liked is a feature they are calling collections, which are they're similar to tables, but they're more like the databases that you would find in Notion. So you can build your collection, add the columns or the fields that you want in the collection. You can relate fields between different collections. So just like a little database, relational database there. So for example, I have a collection for the podcast. And so I've got the episodes that we've got planned up, the publishing date, the status, who the guest is. And the guest field is actually a relation field that goes over to another database that have all of our guests that have come on. So when I add them to a note for the show, it shows up in their list in the guest database that I made. So the relational piece there. But what I like about that is it gives me that kind of ability to plan out everything. I can slice and dice it based with, on filters and things like that. So I can see, okay, here's what's coming up with the podcast. Here's everything that's planned. Here's everything that's kind of more, unofficial at this point, that are just ideas, those kinds of things. And so that's been a nice addition. They're running a sale. I think it's still going on. They call it a Black Friday sale, but I think they extended it till the end of the year, where if you sign up, you get 50% off of the subscription for as long as you have your plan. So that's kind of nice. So I did that, went ahead and got the family plan set up for that. My wife's been using it with her PhD program, and she's enjoying it too. So,
oh, cool! I didn't realize she was doing a PhD either. That's great.
Yeah, she's
smarter than both of us.
In.
I mean,
well, she married me, so it shows how smart she really is. I kid.
I've got comments, pal.
She's way smarter than me. So she's definitely elevates me. So
good for her.
Yeah.
Couple of semesters in, you said?
Yeah. She's 2 semesters, I think, at this point.
Cool. And what's it in? Just so we can give a shout out to
organizational leadership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So she just loves that process. And so she's having a good time with it.
Good. Congratulations. Look forward to referring to her as a doctor.
Yes.
Which you'll have to do around the house every day.
Oh, of course I will. Oh, doctor. She'll be like, I hate you so much.
Too funny. Yeah. All righty. Cool. Yeah, I was on Craft for a while. I'm back to Apple Notes, which works perfectly fine for me and continues to be fine. But I understand your love of Craft. And so all good. All right. For me, next. So very analog here. When I say very analog, I will do these one at a time so we can bounce back and forth between them. I'm going to recommend 3 books, but I'll do the first one right now. And what's interesting, and I didn't realize it until I was making this list, is there are interesting connections in each of these novels that I'm going to recommend. And that is that they are linked back very clearly to other pieces of literature, which at the time that I was writing them down, I was like, okay, well, I like this one. I like this one. I like this one. The first is a book by M.L. Rio titled If We Were Villains, which was just recommended to me by a couple of theater people that I work with. It is essentially a murder mystery, but it is about a bunch of students that are at a Shakespearean theater conservatory. So you can kind of see where my brain goes with this. It's a theater related. And what's really interesting about the novel, a couple of different things, is that one is formatted like a play. So it has a prologue, and then, we have Act 1, and then a multitude of scenes in the first section. It goes through 5 different acts, and then it has an epilogue at the end. What happens is, without giving away too much detail, a college actor who's kind of a P-Rick, goodbye on that one, it winds up dead in a lake. And this is kind of the backwards telling of this story. It's really interestingly written, kind of a barn burner as far as stories like that go. Integrates a lot of Shakespeare, which is really interesting as part of the normal conversation. And it just makes me think about, being a kid in college, which I never really was a kid in college. I was, but I wasn't a very good student when I was a kid in college. But the idea that you're so embedded in things, and in this particular case, they're embedded in Shakespeare, that their normal day-to-day conversations have quotes throughout it that they kind of connect to. So it's not in any way boring because they're throwing Shakespeare in or lines from various plays from Shakespeare. It's I don't know. It's like a particular mindset that you have when you're in college, where everything is about what you're doing at the moment, and you're so thoroughly embedded in a way of thinking and the things that you're reading and doing that what you're reading and studying, and in this case, acting, becomes a part of who you are, such that you're correlating everything that you're doing back to the plays that you're studying. Your language is peppered with the various things that you're learning and seeing. So really loved this book. It's from 2018. So I'm a little late to the game on this, but really quite good. Highly recommend If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio.
Nice. You said you had two more and they were kind of interlinked.
Yeah, I'll explain as we get to the other two.
Okay.
So you can move on to your next thing, and then I will add my second book.
Great.
Don't push me.
While we're keeping it analog, I'll go ahead and do that too.
Okay.
Another book recommendation.
Ooh, excellent.
Yeah. So if you lived in or grew up in as a kid or whatever, the DMV as it's called, DC, Maryland, Virginia in the 70s, 80s, 90s, I think into the early 2000s, but not much. And you attended any type of a live sporting event, concert, something like that, you did it at the Capitol Center. Mm-hmm. So the Capitol Center was an arena just, it was outside of Washington, D.C. It wasn't in the city like the current arena is, but it was in Landover, Maryland, and was built in I believe the 70s. I saw a bunch of shows there, hockey, wrestling, all that kind of stuff. And so I stumbled upon a book. I think I saw it actually. Somebody mentioned it on Facebook. Capitol Center, a Retrospective by Richard Friend, Kevin Leonard, and Jeff Krulik. It is a wonderfully put together book that is pretty good size. You guys won't.
Oh, look at you,
Tommy.
Tommy.
I brought props today.
Yeah,
we're not a video show. But
I'm giving you props for bringing props.
But kind of goes through the story of how the arena came into being. It was built by the Poland family, who's got a long history in D.C. with sports and entertainment, but talks about kind of the design principles, a lot of which were new, including the big jumbotron up on the ceiling that would show the event, with there, of course, they're very
for you in the nosebleed section. You
right,
can see
so
what was actually going on.
Right, yeah, and but it goes through, talks about what's great about it. It's got tons and tons of photographs. They've got pictures of models that they put together, a lot of ticket stubs even, so you can go back and laugh at the insanely low ticket prices for concerts back in the day. Go see, the Stones for $6. So,
wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, and but just a great history of the facility. Tons of great pictures. They talk about, of course, the sporting events, college graduations, high school graduations that were held, rodeos, wrestling, hockey, basketball, whatever. And then really cool at the end, they have it's probably the last 60, 70 pages, lists every event chronologically that ever happened.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool because I could go back and see, oh yeah, I was at those two shows. I saw that.
Great.
So it's just a lot of fun. I think it's about $50. But we'll have a link to it in the show notes. I mean,
awesome.
If you're not from the area, you probably don't care too much. But if you are in the area, I mean, the Capitol Center was, a huge part of events and event culture 70s, 80s, 90s. So
Yeah, and from what I've
book.
seen of the book, it's really beautifully designed. Like it really does some
Really
good stuff.
is.
And I did see those in some of the screenshots that are available. I can see those tickets, which is absolutely crazy, as you said. That you can go see the Capitals for $14 and the Bullets for.
Yeah, I think the first Capitals game I went to was against the Boston Bruins, and they were like $10 tickets.
It's just crazy.
I mean, they were in like the lower midsection of the bowl too. They weren't up in the nosebleeds. So, yeah, it's a different lifetime.
yeah, absolutely a different lifetime. I mean, I have tickets upstairs from the Oakland Coliseum when the A's were in the World Series, and bleacher tickets, which is kind of what you went to, but they're $6.
Right.
World Series, $6. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Those were the days.
You can't even buy a drink for $6 now.
Dude.
A bottle of water's 10.
Right. 100% correct. So very cool. Yeah. I could be enticed by that book, even though Capitol Center means absolutely nothing to me. So there you have it. All righty. Next up for me, another novel. Now, when I said that these are interestingly linked together, these books, the last one that I talked about, If We Were Villains, linked to Shakespeare. The next book that I'm going to talk about is linked to Charles Dickens's David Copperfield. It's a book by Barbara Kingsolver called Demon Copperhead, and it is a modern retelling of David Copperfield that takes place in Appalachia. And I'm telling you, he's such a powerfully brilliant, fun, interesting, dark, much like David Copperfield was dark, story that takes place amidst, what's happening in still presently in Appalachia, where coal mines are kind of not really anymore, and money's hard to be found, and opioid abuse is rampant, and kind of the things that are going on. It's so closely told to the way that Charles Dickens told the story of David Copperfield. What Barbara Kingsolver does with Demon Copperhead is like right in line with that. I started reading, I don't think I'd read David Copperfield for a bazillion years, if I even finished it. And we'll harken back to my earlier conversation about being a crappy student in my earlier days. But I was reading parts of David Copperfield side by side with this when I read it, and I'm telling you what, it's a brilliant retelling, and it has the same cadences as David Copperfield does. So highly recommend Barbara Kingsolver's Demon Copperhead.
Nice.
There you have it.
There you go.
That's me.
This wasn't on my list, but as you were talking about that, it made me think about it. So you were talking about Appalachia there. YouTube channel Peter Santinello. I'll go ahead and put him on there. He does these little documentaries where he walks around with his GoPro, basically. He's done some in Europe, but they're mostly in the U.S., and he goes and he'll find a local there. A lot of times now, because his channel is big, somebody will reach out to him. But he did a whole series on Appalachia, just with the locals and the stories and everything. Highly recommend that. It's not part of the official list here today, but we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah,
too.
put it in.
But he does interesting stuff. So next for me is seems like a very small thing, but because I was on the fence with it when I first got it, I thought I'd add it to the list. The Apple silicone case for the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Now, so when I got it, I wasn't super excited about it because the one that I had for my 14 Pro, I didn't really like it. It's kind of too sticky, for lack of a better word.
A lint collector?
It would stick in your pockets, and it just didn't slide around much. I didn't like it. These seem to be better, so I've kind of come around on it. And the reason I went with it, of course, Apple doesn't make a leather case anymore. They dropped the fine woven case for these, which, was hit or miss, it sounds like, for people anyway. But I wanted something that had the camera control button and not just a cutout for the button like a lot of third-party ones had.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very pleasantly surprised by this case. I actually like it quite a bit. Have not really had any major issues with it getting it in and out of any pockets. Does not pick up a bunch of lint, and has been overall very nice. So that is on my list this year.
All right.
I did not expect to happen. Honestly, I did not expect to really like it. I thought I'd use it by time till a nice third-party case came up, but I think I'm just going to stick with this one.
Cool. Like it. I'll add to that, even though it's not on my list. I have 2 bull strap leather cases, one green, one brown. Had been disappointed that Apple did not have a leather case. Although, unlike some people, I did pick up the fine wovens, and I pick up one at the end, which I still really do like for certain purposes. But bull straps stuff is completely solid, so I can highly recommend those as well. We can add that into the list. Alrighty. Next in my list of books, and last for the moment in my list of books, again, hearkening to that theme of books tied to other literature. So, if we were villains, Shakespeare, Demon Copperhead, David Copperfield, Percival Everett's James. Percival Everett is a brilliant writer, has written a lot of really good stuff. His novel Erasure was turned into the movie American Fiction this last year, which I thought did quite a good job of taking that novel and turning it into a really good movie with Jeffrey Wright. James is a modern retelling of Huck Finn, so Mark Twain's Huck Finn, told from the perspective of Jim, who was, in Mark Twain's novel, Huck Finn's sidekick. So he was the guy that was traveling with. He was essentially a runaway slave in Twain's novel. In Percival Everett's novel, he takes on a very kind of subversive character. He's presenting himself in one way for all the white people that are around him, and then in a completely different way in his mind and with the other people that he's enslaved with. It's such a good retelling of this story, and kind of a hopeful ending. Won't go into too much so as not to spoil it, but again, another piece of literature that's taking older literature and in some ways turning that original literature on its ear in terms of how it's handling what is a main character thematically. So Percival Everett's James, highly recommend that one as well. Those are my 3 books, Tom, all tied together in some strange way.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
Yes. Let's see. Next up for me is going to be the Anker USB-C Charger. Had this in my newsletter as one of the recommended gifts, or gift ideas, I should say. And so what I like about this charger, and others like it, Anker makes a whole line of these things, Ugreen and other places make them too, is just the convenience and flexibility that they offer. So if you've, Apple, you buy your laptop, you get the charger that's got the block, it just has the one outlet on it. You can, I believe, opt in to get 2 outlets maybe on it. But there's always the Apple price. And so what's nice with this one that I have in particular, and you can get larger, more powerful ones, but this one is a 65-watt charger, and it has 3 plugs on it. So it's got 2 USB-C, 1 USB-A. And like I say, it's 65 watt, it's a GAN charger. And so, it plugs in vertically. So like it's two-pronged. It doesn't have three prongs. But what I like about it for me is I've got on my desk, I've got outlets on the top of my desk. So I can just drop it right into that. Doesn't take up a ton of space sticking out from like a wall wart. And I can plug my watch charger, my MagSafe charger for the phone, and then something else into that USB-A if I want. And I've actually started to use them back here in the closet for when we record, just because I'm trying to drag fewer things back and forth because I have to tear up or set up and tear down every time we do a show. And so what's nice with that being USB-C is I can drop that in, power the laptop. I can plug the Rodecaster in there too if I want to, because it's USB-C as well. Travels very well because power prongs do actually collapse inside of the thing. They fold in, so it's nice and small, perfect for traveling if you've got multiple devices that you need to charge, and you don't want to carry a bunch of charging bricks for it. And you can get them pretty cheap. The one that I have was $39. I looked this morning. They've got it's 100, it's 100 watt, and it's like $85. So it was a little more, but the one that I have is perfectly fine. So $40.
Love it. Yeah, Anker makes amazing stuff. So
yeah,
cool. All right, on to the next. Still with a kind of an arts theme. And an album that I came to a little late. So this is the Mars Volta's self-titled album. The Mars Volta came out in 2022. So a couple of years ago. It is strange, not for me, but for a lot of people, to listen to an album end to end any longer. You know, you remember back in the day when we were children having to go to the record store to buy an album, and we listened to it, the whole thing.
We got two good songs and paid $15.
Yeah, in some cases that was true. In some cases, though, albums like played amazingly well from end to end. Like if it wasn't necessarily a story being told, you know, one song after the next, musically, the way that those songs went together, there definitely was a link from one song to the next. One band that I think that does that all the time is Spoon. That's another one of my favorites. But the Mars Volta, I just started listening to this album probably, I want to say early on in the year, maybe April or May. And it's one that I keep coming back to. And it's you can pick out single songs from this album, but this album really is something that you need to listen to from end to end. The segues from one song to the next are quite good. You know, each song kind of is integrated in that way. I haven't really sat with it like I used to sit with albums and look at every single lyric and, you know, read the album notes and try to figure it out in that way. But it has a cohesiveness. The whole album has a cohesiveness that's really amazing to me, and something that I miss from, you know, when I used to get albums as a kid, even if two songs were the only good songs and everything else was garbage. This is really not that. So the Mars Volta, and their self-titled album, the Mars Volta, well worth a considered listen from beginning to end, even if it's on Apple Music. You know, sometimes albums that are like that, you still get gaps between songs.
Right.
This does not have that. This plays one song into the next. So thoughtfully done, really brilliant. The main lyricist has a falsetto that kicks really pretty amazing. And they bounce between Spanish and English, which is kind of interesting too. I believe they're a South Texas band. That's where I originally come from. And I highly recommend.
Nice. I'll check it out.
You'll have to, Tom.
I will.
I recommended it.
Got downtime this week, so I could just start it and let it go.
There you go.
Pretend I'm 13 again, listening to the whole album.
Yes.
God. 13 again.
And have the brains you have today.
Well, I don't know about that part.
You still want to be a stupid 13-year-old. Okay, great. Good for you.
Well, I'm stupid 50-something, so it's what's the difference, I suppose. So the last thing that I have is a small little app that was just released in the last month or so. Festivitas.
For the rest of Vitas?
Pronouncing that right, but maybe I am. I don't know.
Festivitas for the rest of Vitas.
For the rest of Vitas, that's right. And it's gotten quite a bit of publication here in a while. It's a silly little app. It costs $4, and it has a sole purpose of stringing Christmas lights on your Mac display. So you can put Christmas lights on the dock, or you can string them up along the top by the menu bar. But it's fun. It's whimsical. It's lighthearted, and I've enjoyed it. You can have it set so that it floats above content, so you can see them all the time. It was intelligently built so that if it's in the way, say, of a interface thing that you need to click, when you put the mouse up there, the lights jump out of the way. So it doesn't really get in the way too much. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of settings where you can adjust the number of lights on the strand. You can control the blink rate. You can do lots of fun stuff with it. And for $4, why not?
Yes.
So a lot of fun, especially for the holidays. And again, link to that will be in the show notes.
Yeah. And you know what? It kind of harkens back to the original Mac OSs,
right.
System 8, System 9, that always had these kind of little fun things that you could do. It was as much about being goofy as it was about getting work done.
Right. You have all these little desk accessories and little control strip things. And the old Mac OS was a lot of fun. And it's good to see these little things, developers taking some time just put together these little fun sole purpose apps that, a few bucks to support the developer, and it's fun. So always like to see those.
Yeah, me too. All right. I'm going to do my last three together because two of them are not going to be surprises at all. There are three apps that I find myself using on the regular. The first one is Halide, which I've made my default camera. I still use Apple's built-in camera for particular situations, but one of the things that Halide does is they have what we'll call an ultra unprocessed image. It takes raw photo that you can then tweak in
is that what they call process zero?
Yes, process zero.
Nice.
Which, is like Heineken Zero. No alcohol.
Which, by the way, a friend of mine hit me up this week. He goes, your damn podcasts keep costing me money. I just got a Halide subscription. So
Good. Excellent.
Yeah.
We've done our job.
We have. Yeah. By the way, we don't get kickbacks from that stuff.
No, we don't get jack. Right? Get kicked in the...
Yes.
Right. That's about all we get. But we have fun with each other, so who cares? Halide, not a surprise. The other not surprise is going to be Highland Pro, which is my writing app of choice.
Yep.
I've been using now for really as long as it has been out, and hands down my favorite writing app. Very distraction-free.
Do they have the iPad app out for you yet?
They're doing, and I didn't see where it is. They had some big announcement. John August, who's a screenwriter and book writer, who is the man behind this app, wrote Big Fish. If you've seen that movie, it's a play we're producing this year. I'm stage managing. We'll be doing it in May. Musical, I should say. But Big Fish, he's the writer of that, and he has created this, and it's great for screenwriting, playwriting. But also, when I was in graduate school, used it for all of my papers. And, as I'm currently working on some fiction, it is my central app, and it provides a number of features. One of the things I really love about it is for that version, for working on the novel that I'm writing. I am able to break out various chapters and have them all linked in another document, basically, that allows you to import all the chapters. So as I begin writing, it gives me the ability to keep a tally, but I'm able to focus on the individual chapter that I'm working on rather than having a 500-mile long Word document, which I would never use for writing this stuff anyway. Right. Word's got so much busyness going on. I might use Pages, but not that. This is all text-based, which means after I die, the text is still there for my kids to make the money I never will writing. It's good. It's my legacy.
Poetic justice.
Yeah, right. So anyway,
they'll get royalties from this show too. So your kids,
right. Yeah,
our kids are in good shape.
They're going to be
poor.
Yes, it's exactly what they're.
Well, if they depend on us now, if they're smart,
if they won't,
they won't be.
Right.
They're
Yes,
just
exactly.
waiting around
we'll be
for inheritance. God help you, kids.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
But here's the one that's surprising me. So if you paid any attention to this show early on, or any other, kvetching that I've done in the past, I thought Apple's news app was going to be janky, and I didn't have any need for it whatsoever.
Right.
I will tell you that the news app now is probably one of my biggest go-tos. As part of my Apple Premier One or whatever it's called these days, subscription, I have access to the news app, which means I have access to a lot of magazines that I would not, normally have a subscription to. There are a couple that I pay for example, The Atlantic, which I pay for a print edition for that. That's accessible within the news app, but a number of other news sources, including news sources that are in the Bay Area where I grew up, that are in upstate New York, that it relates to me in some ways. When I say upstate, 60 miles upstate in the capital, Albany. There's a lot of stuff going on up there that I like to be aware of. It do get a lot of goofy stuff that I'm still trying to filter out, like TMZ. I don't need TMZ, and yet
BuzzFeed.
Right, follows as Slate, all this stuff. And there are a couple of these publishers that, I don't know who's doing the editorial work, but where it says, I'm a cook in a commercial kitchen, and here's the 5 things that it's like, I don't need to have that. But there's some really good detailed news in there. There's audio that goes along with it. It integrates well with the podcasts app. I wish
do the puzzles.
I don't do them, but they're there. Yeah, I'm not a huge puzzles guy, but it is it's definitely there. So I am surprised because I thought I would never touch that app, and I find that I'm using it more and more. And I note since you send me links from it, you're doing the same thing. So
I do. I jump in there every now and then, and it's funny, like when we talked about this a while back when Apple raised the price of the Premier. Is that what it is? Apple One Premier? Is that the top tier thing? So it's $38 a month. I actually was looking. It's like, okay, well, some of this stuff I don't use, so maybe I could save a few bucks and not do that subscription. Just pay for the couple of things because the iCloud storage is the primary thing. Well, that turns out, thank God I asked, but just have, I better ask her if she's using this at all. And she was like, oh yeah, I read it every day. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And she's got her magazines in there, like you mentioned. And, but yeah, she's apparently daily user. So.
That Virginia newspaper that I'm following that says, young husband beaten to death by PhD student in closet.
Don't worry, that wasn't me. I'm not the young husband anymore. So. Yeah, she's a big fan of it too. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
It's good stuff. It really is a nice feature. So I'm surprised by my usage of that. So
nice. All right,
Tom, we've done it again.
I think we have.
We burned another
49 minutes.
Yeah, 49 minutes of your time and then of our time trying to figure out why we couldn't get the recording to record. 2 hours. But, all good. And as always, Tom, pleasure to see you. Pleasure to spend time with you. Can't believe that we're on the cusp of our 52nd episode coming up right after the first of the year.
Right. We'll be hitting 2 years officially in January. So we've got some guests lined up for shows. I think we've got some good stuff coming up. And, again, we say it frequently, but we do really mean it. That we're grateful for each and every one of you that are here with us and spend time listening to the show and feedback and the nice words that you've shared. So
yeah,
thank you so
and
much.
really grateful for Randall Martin Design and the work that he's done for us, and Celsius 7 Psychokinetics for use of their music, and for you, Tom. I say this sincerely. It's always a pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure to bust your chops. And,
yes, we both started off this episode grouchy and crotchety, and I feel in a better spirits now. So
yeah, I'm still
that's
cranky. So that's what I am, but that's okay.
That's all right.
That's a daily.
But you're just back to normal cranky.
Right. I'm normal cranky, not the cranky, super cranky I was when we started.
Exactly. That's right. So
everybody should put on their list. We will have in January 52 episodes, so 52 weeks in a year. You can go to our back catalog and listen to how good we've really gotten over the last 52 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, something like that. So,
yeah, maybe.
Well, Jeff, my friend, happy holidays. I'm sure I'll talk to you over the next week or two.
Yeah, you
but
will.
Enjoy it. Listeners, hope you have a fantastic Christmas if you're celebrating that, holidays, whatever the case may be, Kwanzaa, all of it.
Yeah. Hanukkah and Christmas all on the same day. And which somebody pointed out, this is just kind of funny. Apparently, Facebook is saying that that Hanukkah starts on Christmas Day and ends on Christmas Eve. So,
whoa.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake. Just want to point that out.
Well, it's short all year. So,
well,
yeah.
Wait, what did I say? No, and not ends on Christmas Eve. Sorry, and ends on Christmas. Starts on Christmas Eve, ends on Christmas Day, or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, not an all year. It just not the normal number of Hanukkah days. So
Hanukkah days, right? So, all right. Well, I think that is a wrap, and we will talk to you again in 2025. So have a great rest of your day, rest of your night, and happy holidays.
See ya.